Okay, everybody, so this is my review of Yellowjackets episode 9, Doomcoming. I am going to split my review into two parts. We'll start with the present day storyline first, and then we'll end with what's going on in the wilderness. So we see with the present day storyline, Shauna is confronting Adam right where we left off, where the episode ended last week. And what's interesting about this reveal is we finally get an answer about Adam. He had all these theories that Adam is Javi, and it turns out that people who thought it was Jeff were correct, that he was the blackmailer. What was interesting about this whole sequence was that it was awakening the Shauna from the wilderness in this scene, which I thought was really well done. I do wish, though, they had shown some different footage from stuff we haven't seen yet with Shauna in the woods, so it would kind of leave more theories to be made about where to go, but because it's the end of the season, they probably didn't film that stuff yet. So we'll see maybe for season 2. I also thought it was a little silly that Shauna even mentions the code of the safe is the flight number. Any fanboy could figure that out. So why would Shauna make that the code? That didn't make much sense to me. That was kind of stupid. But I really do believe this definitely confirms Adam was never Javi, because I believe him when he's saying he didn't even know who she was before the accident, and that we see that it's like a little misdirect when she finds the book on the Yellowjackets, but he was just doing what anyone would do when they first start dating someone who's looking into them. But when we find out about Jeff, we don't just find out he's the blackmailer, we find out that he was specifically blackmailing Thaisa and Nat because the furniture business was going out. But he also knew about Shauna and her journals and what she, I guess, did in the woods that's in those journals. So he never told her that, but it's interesting that he still stayed with her and didn't bring it up. And what's ironic about this whole thing is that this is the dirty laundry that Shauna and Jeff had to air to each other this whole episode that's happening here, and it actually brings them closer. All the lying they've been doing to each other's coming to the surface, and it's almost like they connect more about being liars, and that kind of makes them really work together. And then people predicted as well that Jeff wasn't actually having an affair, that this woman he was talking to was something else. Turns out her name is Bianca. She's part of these lone bad people, Shauna calls them. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm sure those people are going to have a part in all of this, and they clearly have to know that Jeff is obviously married to Shauna, a Yellowjacket. One of the hysterical lines, and there's many hysterical moments in this episode in general, but Shauna says, "I can't believe you thought I was going to book club this whole time." And Jeff says, "What? There was no book club?" I thought that was great. What I do like is that Jeff has this moment that actually really impresses Shauna, because he's willing to go down for all this for Shauna. But Shauna makes a great point that it doesn't even matter if he did that, because it's all going to trace back to the blackmailing, then the journals, then what they did in the wilderness, the Yellowjackets. She does not want that happening, and this is a nice reminder of the stakes here in present day, which I liked, because she says an important line that her daughter's life would be over. So this is also establishing that at all costs, Shauna in present day does not want this Yellowjacket information getting out. And it's a good reason why, to protect her family. Another important little thing they threw in here was that Jeff told one other person about the blackmail, which was Randy Walsh. Now, we saw him momentarily in present day, but he is the idiot Jackie tried setting Shauna up with at the party. So that's also going to be a big thing, and it's going to bring Randy Walsh into this story. And some nice writing here when Shauna says to Jeff, "When do we become these people who lie and cheat and do awful things?" And Jeff says, "We have always been these people. Secrets have become a part of us." And what I love about this is, the best part about it is the next line is, "You thought this dead guy was blackmailing you, so why can't the other girls too?" So it's like, why not just keep up the lying at this point? And what I'm talking about too is when we learn that Jeff had read these journals, he's saying to Shauna, like, "You guys were so young. I know this was traumatizing." And again, this does make it seem like this is the closest we've seen Jeff and Shauna in this show, and she likes that he's understanding of it. Now, Shauna goes and lies to Nat and Thaisa when they show up to see this dead body of Adam, saying he's the blackmailer. Melanie Lynskey, who's been doing great work this whole show, does great, in particular in this scene, at doing a lie and hiding it a little bit in her face that she is lying, but she's still an incredible liar, this character of Shauna. She's covering all of her tracks to all the questions that Thaisa and Natalie are throwing her way. Nice little touch, too, by the actress, Melanie Lynskey, when she's playing Shauna here, because she mentions, "I thought he loved me, I trusted him." And there is this little, like, regret she feels and sadness because, yeah, she killed the wrong guy here, you know, so she lost someone that she did have feelings for. But what's important to realize is that we know Jeff was a blackmailer, but we don't know who actually killed Travis. And Natalie makes this point, you really think this guy is the guy who killed Travis. Talking about Adam, but just in general, that there's another layer to this here. And it's interesting because what's going to have Natalie catch on to Shauna lying, which is going to cause huge conflict, is that Natalie still has her former sponsor working on that bank account that was closed. That was Travis. So that's going to kind of connect more dots here for Natalie and be more suspicious of Shauna. Another great hysterical line was when Taissa says, "We can't leave him here," and Shauna says, "Well, we can't exactly weekend him at Bernie's out the door." That was great. And going to a theme that goes through this episode is when they make the point here that there's DNA everywhere. This isn't just get rid of the body situation. This is a complicated situation. They need help, and this is when they need Misty. And that theme that we're seeing is that they only have Misty around when they need her. So let's switch over to Mistyland here, and we see the reporter she has tied up has now upgraded from the bed to actually sitting up in a chair. And what this reporter, who knows way more than she's leading on, is doing with Misty in this episode is playing to her good side and her weaknesses and bringing up how close they were on this island and why didn't they keep in touch with you. You guys have been off there for 25 years, and really just hitting at Misty's soft spot. And where it gets a little crazy here is that Misty is putting on this lipstick like she does in the past with Jackie here, and it's someone showing her a different way, right? And how easy it is to influence Misty. The reporter is manipulating her that way, and it just wants her to speak now to this ghostwriter to talk about what happened. And the reporter says this line, "You guys did eat each other, right?" And she's like, "They won't blame you. You were just trying to survive. They're going to sympathize with the person who actually spoke." And Misty says, "When we first came back, we couldn't get help. We couldn't betray the group. But now time to tell the truth so everyone can heal." So I really do believe Misty was considering this. Again, she's easy to kind of sway and influence if you say the right things to her. And we see that throughout this episode in both timelines. But she is stopped. The perfect timing of her actually even considering this bad idea in general is because Nat shows up right in time. And this takes a lot of Nat literally lying through her teeth about how much she is sorry to Misty and how she sees her as a friend. And she keeps complimenting her, but it works. Again, telling you how easy it is to just sway Misty and how she can flip back and forth so fast. It's perfect timing because now she informs her they need help with the body, and it makes me think now that too late for the reporter now. She was close, but Misty's going to now side with Natalie and that team just, again, to feel wanted and liked and get rid of that body. So I do not think this reporter is going to make it through this finale period. So let's go to where it was really interesting is flashback timeline here in the woods. And to sum up the plot here, Jackie literally says in the beginning, you know, it's Doomcoming, we'll drink rotten berries and celebrate our impending death. What was so cool and is going to get Reddit going crazy is seeing everyone kind of crafting their outfits for the first time that we see later on in the story. And Lottie's holding those antlers. As we'll see later on, she actually wears these things. We're going to get into that, though. But they did a good job of writing young Misty here, where she asks Ben to the dance. And he reluctantly says yes. But he brings up the boundaries here. And that anything else wouldn't be right. But this is where Misty says, I understand. But she really doesn't. And she's going to have this plot to use these magic mushrooms to get what she wants with him. And what I love so much is Jackie's story in this episode, because I can relate, and I think many people can relate, that when you're growing up and you're in your teens, you know, you can have such a positive outlook on the world like Jackie did before they got to the woods. And the minute she found out the information about what Shauna did behind her back, her faith in humanity, her view of the world has completely changed. She has no F's given. She's completely pessimistic. It's like a different person. It's like culture shock for somebody. And I remember in life, I've had that moment too, where you find something bad, someone you really thought was good maybe did something wrong, and the world isn't so black and white as you thought. And I think they do a really good job of hitting that here. And it's interesting to watch with Jackie because she's in a special case where this part in your life is happening, but she's starving in the woods while it's happening, so it's even amplified, right? She has no parents to talk to, and she's refusing to eat even at this point. But you see Shauna still cares about her, is looking out for her throughout this episode, telling her to eat, and even suggesting smartly, like, hey, don't rock the boat with Travis here because you're going to piss off the other Yellowjackets. Again, this is a group here. They look out for each other, and that's just a no-no, you know, messing with someone else's man. Even though they did break up, still a little too soon. And they had such little attention to detail, nice touches I loved here, where Lottie is wearing Laura Lee's dress to the dance, and I love this little romantic story they have with Van and Ty, where Van's self-conscious about her face, but Ty makes up for that by making them have the similar masks that cover half the face. And you even see her, too, Shauna's more pregnant. We know this because she's having trouble zipping up her dress. And the zipping up the dress where she needs help leads to Misty leaving the magic mushrooms on the table for it to be put in the stew. And it done gets really good payoff with the writing here that Jackie's not eating, and it serves the plot because that is the reason Jackie wouldn't take the stew. She's the only one who didn't have it. And little details, too. Again, everything's serving a purpose here and meaning more than you're actually seeing. And I like that Coach Ben, who we know is gay, but he's in the closet, is proud of Ty and Van for them kissing and coming out basically to everybody. And he even says that. So it is motivating to him to do that. And I love when Misty's like responding to Jackie saying, let's get a DJ going. She's like, we need a slow dance, and looks at Ben. It's just great. And where stuff starts really to hit the fan is actually when they start singing Seal Kissed From a Rose. Great song, obviously. Perfect song to pick from this timeline. And Misty's rejected a dance by Ben, and then this is the same moment Nat sees Travis starting to dance with Jackie. So things start to get shaken up here, and it makes sense that Nat and Ben would be the ones to kind of hang out here. So it also is when the shrooms start to hit, and it starts with Ben and Nat, and I love that Natalie starts doing the hand thing from the Rebecca Black video, and I love they have Misty now in her sadness just, pouring down the rotten berries down her throat, but it is symbolic, obviously, all over her face, like the blood that's going to be her face from eating people. And poor Javi here is just tripping his balls, just laying down on the ground. He's the youngest one there. This stuff's got to be hitting him hard. And it makes sense, because you got to have him at that level to justify him not, sticking up for Travis, or even understand what the hell's going on with Travis and during this episode. Now, you have to remember, the thing this show keeps toying with you, and they do it so well, is how much of this is supernatural, if any, because every situation we've seen that could be supernatural, it also could be justified as, they're just tripping or they're hallucinating, right? So, like, Lottie at one point is like, shh, do you feel that when they start tripping? So it starts a chain of events of everyone saying they feel this energy from the ground. This is, again, alluding to the supernatural part of the show, and Lottie obviously is the one who pushes this the most and connects to it the most. Now, shout out to Ella Purnell, who's been obviously killing it as Jackie, but she has this great moment, a little bit of monologuing here with Travis when Travis confesses to her that he loves Nat, and we get to really see inside Jackie's head when I'm talking about that theme, like, you're so sweet, naive, and dumb, she's calling him. It's basically her talking to her old self, and she's talking about how even the Jackie before the crash was just excited the next day to have a soccer game. And I love how she delivers a line, you just feel where she's like, Shauna was effing Jeff, best friend, having sex with my boyfriend behind my back. And you see her mindset, friendship doesn't matter, love doesn't matter, none of this matters, shells with nothing inside. I will say, I'm going to talk about the Antler Queen stuff with Lottie that we've seen, but that still could be a red herring.
Communism was just a red herring.
It could be something that's also passed to somebody else, but I do think this line by Jackie and her state of mind does make me give a little more weight to people who maybe think she might end up being the ultimate Antler Queen at the end of the day, because she is talking like someone who's going down a bad path. So Lottie is the one who connects Travis and Jackie are missing, and she's like, we should find them, he doesn't belong to her. And now they're all going into this animalistic mode. It's a nice touch when they hear the wolves. They're like a pack of wolves themselves. And we're in full Lord of the Flies mode here. And like Lord of the Flies, like the story with Simon and Lord of the Flies, this, at the end of the day, is in the territory of being an accident, because Shauna, even when they're attacking Travis, is seeing him as a stag. So it's like in Lord of the Flies where they see Simon, they think he's a monster, and that's why they end up killing him. So it's falling in that same category, so you see the inspiration. And it was such great suspense when they're coming to Travis and Jackie while Travis and Jackie are having sex. It was edited really well. And where stuff gets, again, more into the supernatural stuff is when they get there and put Jackie in the closet. Lottie says this has nothing to do with Natalie. And Jackie even has that line, it's not like the spirits care. So it's alluding to stuff. There's a lot going on here. And it's going to add to more theories of, like, what is this crazy talk that Lottie's having? Is it at the end of the day just them being on these poison berries, also starving, and also on mushrooms at the same time? But, in this scene with Travis, he's tripping, so you can still justify it because of the tripping, but he's seeing them almost like demonically possessed. So is there this possession, supernatural element involved with this? And let me just tell you, okay? This actor of Travis is the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And if you literally know anyone in your life who is questioning if he should become an actor or a baseball player, just show them this scene, okay? Because, my God, I mean, he must have been in a different world. God bless him. And there was great horror here with Shauna pulling Travis's skin horrifying. So I'm glad it was leaning to the horror like this. And like I said, remember, they're running after Travis because they think he is a stag. Lottie literally says, go after the stag. And I love the blend of mood here because while this is happening, all this craziness, then you know what? Ty and Van have this actually really beautiful romantic moment where they're in the woods having sex and she's like, you know, take off the mask. I want to see you. It was just great. But I think it's important that they were not with Lottie at that moment. And like I'm going to go into it, but at the end, we're going to see a group divide here. We have to after this big incident. And I think that could set up who's in what group by who was actually with Lottie in that moment. And I also love in this writing now when Ben and Nat are at like full peak tripping. You know, they're talking about love being the reason they're here, and it inspires Nat to go run after Travis. And it inspires Misty to then go to Ben. And she's like, you're so right. And shout out to the actor of Ben. The way he tells Misty he is gay, and he says, I'm gay, 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 gay. I was dying how he delivered that line. It was just great, great comedic delivery. And it quickly transitioned, obviously, to sadness because he's talking about how, you hear that, you know, family, I'm gay. So it was just really worked. And again, like I'm talking about, there's so many different moods and feelings you have during all this last 20 minutes of the episode. So it was exciting to watch. Okay, so the big moment is when they catch up to Travis, right? We see Lottie's putting on the Antler Queen thing. Now, if you talk to me, if you know me, I've been saying it's Lottie's the Antler Queen since the episode we saw she was hearing voices, and I had said in my last review. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm in Team Lottie being Antler Queen. It looks like we're right, but it could still be a red herring.
Communism was just a red herring.
They could still be toying with you, and also there could be a thing where that she does become the Antler Queen here, and it's still not the exact Antler Queen that we see in the, you know, future flashbacks when they're eating people, because that could be just it passed down to somebody else. That is just a role that gets moved. So we'll see. But it's really looking like Lottie. And you see when I'm talking about the supernatural element, Lottie says to Shauna, when she's got the knife at Travis's neck, she's seeing it as a stag. She's like, it's okay if it wants you to, whatever this entity is. Or again, maybe they're just tripping. And also, Lottie isn't taking her meds. We can't forget that little detail, because they kind of want you to forget, but you can't. So that's important. And you see Natalie shows up, saves the day, and Lottie's like, it's in all of us, you know, even him, even you. So this shows me a divide. All I can say, there's got to be a divide after a big moment like this. It's not going to be the same. And I think that divide starts with Natalie versus Lottie. I think in this storyline, Natalie has kind of, to me, shown the most good. Yes, she has a problem with drugs, but I do think she has a good heart about her. And I think that's going to show a divide of Lottie, who's someone who's just out of her mind right now. And obviously, Nat cares about Travis and will not be happy about this. And it's so interesting. We have not seen adult Lottie. And I have a feeling, and we also haven't seen adult Jackie. Like, yes, the mom has said she's dead, but we don't really know that, right? And I think that the finale will probably end the season cliffhanger of someone, or maybe the whole episode might just appear at the beginning where there's going to be an adult person we haven't seen yet. There has to be, and it has to be someone maybe who's involved with Travis's death. But I'm giving this penultimate episode a 9.1. I thought it was really well done. I still think it's the second best episode after episode 7 with the wolves, but it still was great. I think maybe the present day story can come off a little silly at times, but that's fine. I don't think that's a little nitpick. I maybe could see people being let down about the reveal of how they handled the blackmailer, that we took, 9 episodes and a lot of screen time with Adam and Shauna just to find out he's really not really anybody. So that could be frustrating. It doesn't justify, again, where I said episode 4 was the worst episode, so damn slow, because it was a whole date of Adam and Shauna basically. So I don't see why that was a thing still. This doesn't help that case. But anyway, really enjoyed it. Loved the performances here. Loved the stuff, how they're going with the story with Jackie and Shauna. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with his body and Misty. I cannot wait for this finale. But, let me know what you thought. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. I want to hear all your theories. Let's just get the discussion going. Please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.